"You don't belong here," my brother sneered at dinner, so I laughed, bought the restaurant, fired him, and took back everything. My brother Nathan called me out of nowhere on a Tuesday afternoon, said he wanted me at Marcello's, this fancy Italian steakhouse downtown, to celebrate his new director position. We hadn't spoken in 3 years, not since I helped pay off his student loans when he was drowning in debt and too proud to ask our parents. I remember that conversation clearly. He'd called me at 2 a.m., drunk and crying, saying the collections agency was threatening to garnish his wages. I wired him $47,000 the next morning, cleaned out most of my savings. He promised he'd pay me back. Never did. Never even said thank you after that first week. But here he was, calling again. His voice had that fake warmth, like we were best friends. "Come celebrate with me, man. It'll be like old times." Something felt off, but I figured maybe he'd finally grown up. Maybe this was his way of making amends. I showed up straight from the construction site where I'd been working. Steel-toed boots caked with dried mud, faded jeans with concrete dust on them, flannel shirt with the sleeves rolled up. The valet looked at my beat-up Ford truck like it was contaminating their parking lot. The hostess gave me that look, the one that says, "Are you sure you're in the right place?" She led me to the back room, the private dining area with exposed brick and Edison bulbs hanging from the ceiling. Nathan was at a long table with his wife Amber and 6 other people. All of them looked like they'd stepped out of a corporate catalog. Pressed suits, silk ties, watches that probably cost more than my truck. Wine glasses everywhere, half-empty bottles of something that definitely wasn't the house red. I walked over, scanning the table. 10 chairs, 10 people already sitting. There was no empty seat. Nathan saw me and his expression changed. Not happy, not surprised, something else. Satisfied, maybe, like this was going exactly how he'd planned. Amber saw me next. She set down her wine glass slowly, deliberately. Then she smiled that practice smile, the one she uses on people she considers beneath her. "Oh my God, is that you? I'm so sorry, there must have been a mix-up with the reservation." She paused, looking me up and down. "You know what? There's a diner on 5th Street. Seems more your speed. They don't have a dress code or anything." The whole table went dead silent. One of the guys smirked into his napkin. A woman in a black dress raised her eyebrows like she was watching a reality show. Nathan sat there, swirling his wine, not looking at me, not defending me, not saying a damn word. I just stood there at the edge of their circle. This was the test. This was what he'd really invited me for. Not to celebrate, not to reconnect, to humiliate me in front of his new corporate friends, to show them he'd made it, left his blue-collar roots behind, left his loser brother in the dust. That's when I started laughing. It came out of nowhere, bubbling up from my chest. Not bitter, not angry, just pure, genuine amusement, because they had no idea. None of them had any clue. 3 months ago, I'd met with Vincent Marcello, the owner of this restaurant. He was 68, tired, ready to retire to Florida. He wanted someone who understood hard work, someone who'd actually appreciate what he'd built. We'd talked for hours about food costs, supplier relationships, staffing challenges. I bought a 40% stake in the place for $180,000. Used everything I'd saved over the last decade working construction, doing side investments, living in a 1-bedroom apartment while Nathan lived in his downtown loft. I pulled out my phone and called the manager, Tony. He appeared within 30 seconds, professional as always. "Everything okay, Mr. Patterson?" he asked, loud enough for the table to hear. Nathan's wine glass stopped mid-air. His face went completely pale. Amber's mouth actually dropped open. "Yeah, Tony," I said calmly. "Just wanted to check on my brother's corporate account, the one his company's been running up for 6 months. I'm shutting it down effective immediately." I paused, looking directly at Nathan for the first time. "Oh, and that company he works for? Sterling and Associates? I bought the controlling shares last week through my investment group for $4.2 million. Nathan's boss, the guy in the gray suit at the head of the table, stood up so fast his chair crashed backward onto the floor.